Hey guys, it's Dr. J here. Today's video is going to be on why do I have such poor workout recovery? Exercising with adrenal issues. What is the deal? Why are you sore? Why is your exercise tolerance so poor? We're going to dive into that topic today and talk about what's happening underneath the hood and some root cause and root solutions that we can work on. Before we do, smash that like button. Really helps the search algorithm. Put your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts and things that have worked for you in regards to the topic. All right. So working out is a stress on the body. So you're either moving some weights, doing some kind of a movement pattern. Maybe it's just something like walking. Maybe you're doing sprints, interval, cardio, zone 2 exercise, whatever it is, right? That's a stress on the body. And so the goal of any type of exercise, it's enough of a stress and your body heals just a little bit more. You have all these different benefits with growth hormone and BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor, and telomere, and all kinds of different improvements that happen from an anti aging perspective. So you're applying a little bit of a stress and your body recovers to this degree, so to speak. Now, there's some people, depending on how stressed out their adrenals or how catabolic their body is or how inflamed they are, this level of stress, their body may only come back to this level, so to speak. So there's this level of breakdown and there's this level of buildup. So we'll kind of talk about it in terms to be more scientific, catabolic and anabolic breakdown. So exercise, anything that breaks you down, that's catabolic. You're breaking something down, whether it's muscle, tissue, etc. Here's your catabolic stimulus. Here's your anabolic response. Anabolic is building back up, healing, and recovering. So the goal is here's your breakdown. The anabolic buildup will always just outpace the catabolic breakdown. That's the goal of exercise. And when you're chronically inflamed, when your adrenals have been stressed and you're more in this sympathetic type of state where either cortisol is chronically high or it has been depleted, both kind of are cut two sides of the same sword, if you will. When that anabolic doesn't quite outpace the catabolic, this is where recovery starts to dwindle, whether it's excessive soreness, whether it's more fatigue after a workout, whether it's more chronic joint pain, more energy, brain fog. The goal is that we set our body so we're slightly a bit more anabolic than the catabolic stress. That's the goal. And so when we run like adrenal cortisol rhythm tests, one of the big things we'll see for dysregulated cortisol is we'll typically see flatter and lower cortisol rhythm. So typically cortisol is light driven, it's a circadian rhythm, higher in the morning and then it drops at night. And as cortisol drops at night, there's this inverse relationship between melatonin and cortisol. So melatonin comes up with darkness, cortisol goes down. And so this helps you kind of get into a tired state, want to go to sleep. It's powerful antioxidant, anti-cancer, helps you get to deeper phases of restoration and sleep. And so we have this healthy cortisol rhythm, and the more imbalanced our body becomes, the more catabolic we become, the flatter that cortisol can become. Now, acutely, you may see cortisol up really high. That's possible, and you're still in this kind of chronic breakdown state, but cortisol is breaking you down. It's also very anti-inflammatory. So this is why you can't get too many cortisone injections, right? Because eventually the doctor will tell you it'll start to break down tissue. So they may give you a couple, but then after a certain amount, they'll be like, hey, you're going to have to do something else because it's starting to break your tissues down. So same thing. So cortisol starts off high. Over time, it will start to kind of peter out and go flatter. And then you'll have flatter mood, flatter energy, flatter sleep. And then as we start to have cortisol rhythm issues, you may not make enough melatonin at night. And start to have less restoration, less sleep. So one of the first things we can do is just, make sure we reduce all the inflammation from food. Of course, make sure we have the building blocks of all of our connective tissue, right? A protein, amino acids, good healthy fatty acids that help form our cell membrane and decreasing a lot of the inflammatory vectors from gluten, refined sugar, and processed grains and omega-6 junky vegetable oils. That's kind of the foundation right there out of the gates on the food side. Of course, we can look internally at the gut. We can look internally at female hormones as well. A lot of women that have chronically low cortisol also have low progesterone because progesterone is a building block to cortisol. So women that are chronically stressed, they'll lower their progesterone. And then, of course, guys that over time will start to have lower testosterone as well, which is very anabolic, helping with recovery and healing as well. So over time, these are things that we got to look for. Low testosterone in men, lower progesterone in women, obviously flatter and or lower cortisol. And then from there, we'll tend to see lower DHEA levels as well. And DHEA is a precursor building block that will go downstream to sex hormones for men as well as women. And it's a precursor to a lot of the the sex hormone that may be coming from the ovaries, but as we become in the menopause and our ovarian reserve is depleted, that's DHEA will now be coming from the adrenal. So it's like we're now like running on a backup generator, so to speak, with the powers out in our home. The backup generator being our adrenals in menopause women. So we're looking at progesterone, we're looking at low testosterone, we're looking at cortisol, we're looking at, of course, DHEA, and then, of course, we're looking at inflammation in the food. So, of course, we're dialing in all the big 5 vectors that I just mentioned there. And then, of course, the next thing is you have to adjust exercise frequency, intensity, and duration. So, of course, how much you're doing it in a week. If you're doing it every day, you may want to go every other day. If intensity could be, it's a combination of how hard the movement is, as well as how much rest time is in between the movement. So, for instance, a front squat, much harder than like a bicep curl, right? Right. The more compound a movement is, the more joints that are involved. So compound movements have multi joints. If I do a front squat, right, there's a lot of joints that are involved, plus my core, everything, versus like a bicep curl, right? It's just one isolated joint in my elbow. That's it. Doing a front squat, there's 4 or 5 joints getting involved, with my core to my hips to my knees to my ankles to my shoulders to my neck, right? It's a lot of different things involved. So those type of movements are going to be more stressful on the body. So you can start with more single to bi joint movements, and then you can go to more compound, and you can allow more rest time between the movement as well. And then, of course, duration, how long you're working out for. So, of course, 45 minutes to 30, 30 to 20. And then be careful of a lot of the longer, slower cardio that could potentially be more problematic. I mean, there's some benefits with zone 2 exercise where you're somewhere at a 60% of your max heart rate, probably around 120 beats a minute for 30 minutes or so. If you're going to do that, just try to choose movements like a rower or an elliptical where you're not banging your joints and creating a lot of this compression force that could be putting more stress on the joints, which could cause more knee or hip pain, which could be problematic over time. So that's helpful out of the gates. Benefit of zone 2 is you're going to see a nice lower resting heart rate, less stress on your heart. But I think you can still get some of these benefits by doing exercises that are more circuit based. So you kind of take exercise 1, maybe some lunges, exercise 2, some military presses, exercise 3, maybe some kettlebell swings, exercise 4 could be some rows or a push movement, right? You can either combine 3 or 4 movements together and you can get a kind of a similar cardiac benefit where your heart rate's at a higher level for sustained periods of time. So again, really important if you are in that category where you're having a harder time dealing with physical stress, and it may not be exercise, it could be just your work, just keeping up with your kids, your daily life, doing your hobbies, right? Whatever that is, you want to look at the adrenals, you want to look at your sex hormones, progesterone, estrogen, women, estrogen or testosterone for men, and estrogen too, because men can aromatize testosterone and make it go downstream to estrogen. All those things can be problematic. Look at the big 5 things, like I mentioned. Look at DHEA, look at progesterone, testosterone, look at inflammatory foods, omega-6 fatty acids, and then, of course, DHEA. These are all really important things to look at. And I guess if you want to dive in deeper, you need more help on it, you want to roll up your sleeve and get someone in your corner to help you out, feel free. You can reach out to myself and my colleagues. We have some links down below. You can get access to me that way. And if you enjoyed the content, give me a thumbs up, share with friends and family. Really appreciate it. Let me dive into some questions here today. Don't have too many questions here out of the gates. I would say big thing for everyone is exercise. A good thing, right? It's a good thing, but if you are very stressed and exercise makes you feel bad and you adjust the duration, the intensity, how long the workout is, just start with some simple walking. So easiest and best time to walk, I'd say, would be right after a meal, especially if you're overweight, because it does help with insulin sensitivity. So a simple 5-minute walk after a meal. And again, don't eat so much where you feel like it's Thanksgiving Day dinner and you're going to have to unwind the belt a couple notches. Eat enough so you feel comfortable moving. Just a nice, slow leisure walk, 5 minutes after a meal. That's a great first step. And then, of course, after that, you could always, easy, if you can do one exercise, right? And again, if you're inflamed, this may not be a good exercise for you, but if you're confident the form is right and you had like a trainer or you've had someone analyze you based on like a good YouTube video, is a kettlebell swing. So if you have good form, your chest is upright, you're hinging at the hips and you're exploding to the hips, 15 to 20 reps, a couple of sets of those a day. It's a great movement because you're getting the back, you're getting the arms, you're getting the hips, getting the core. So if you can do one movement, I'd say kettlebells would be the great. You just have to make sure it's something, the weight's appropriate and your form has to be dialed in. If not, just keep it simple to just some squats, just sit in a chair and stand up, walk, some push movements. You can always do push-ups against the wall. You can change the incline. You can do push-ups on your knees. I like having a bar to do it, so my wrists are neutral. They're not like, arch back. They're neutral, and I can go, deeper in. I can go all the way down versus like being here. I can go here. I can get a really good pump that way. Is pregnenolone the same as DHEA? Pregnenolone is a precursor. If you look at like the adrenal hormone cascade, it's like pregnenolone, and then it goes downstream. From there, it can go downstream to cortisol. It can go downstream to your mineralocorticoids, aldosterone. It can go downstream to, I said, progesterone. So it can go downstream to cortisol as well. So progesterone, aldosterone, your mineralocorticoids, cortisol over here. And then it can also go downstream to estrogen and then also DHEA. So typically it's like DHEA and then it can trickle down to estrogen or testosterone. Men tend to go down testosterone side. Women will go down estrogen side. And again, if you do too high of a dose, DHEA will tend to go from DHEA to estrogen in men if you give too much DHEA. So I like to keep a dose on the lower side. How do you like ribose? I love ribose. So it's one of the important ingredients in my MitoSynergy product. So ribose is really good. There's also some creatine and carnitine and CoQ10. So I do like it. Very good for priming the mitochondria, helping with ATP generation. Definitely helps with energy production as well. So I'm a huge fan of that. Okay, excellent. And so my setup is I have like QB steppers over there. So I'm at my desk. If I'm sitting, I'm going to just kind of gently roll, gently pedaling. Okay. And then over here, I have my treadmill with a little remote so I can go up to 5 miles per hour. So I'll be on a patient call and I'll have my noise-free headsets and I'll be walking, getting that in there. And I'll be standing, seating. So I'm trying to get some movement, standing, sitting, it's pedaling and then walking. And then my setup in my gym, I have a Concept D rower. I'll do intervals on that. I have TRX. I have a cable machine set. I have some kettlebells. I have X3 bars. So I have a kind of an assortment of things that I'll kind of circuit throughout the day, which is nice, just to kind of get your muscles woken up, good stimulus, keep the steps, keep the activity up. Gives me a little bit of latitude. So if I eat a little more carbs, I have that muscle stimulation where I can soak it up, so to speak. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, thumbs up, comments below, reach out if you want more help. I'm here to help. Take care, y'all. Bye now.